Are you doing this?
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
I'm needed upstairs. Bob, hold down the fort. Spill your guts. Who wants to go first? All right, I will. See, I'm willing to do the work.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, or Beetlejuice 2, I guess. The ghost with the most is back, and in a fun, albeit flawed way. Don't get me wrong, I think this movie is a ton of fun with some hilarious moments here and there, and is just a triumph of practical cartoony effects. But it does fall short of greatness due to way too many ideas converging together all at once, leading to a jumbled mess of an ending that is satisfying, but not in the right ways. Let me explain, but before I get into it, I really do like this movie a lot, even though I'm complaining about it right now. I like the idea of this movie, I like the actors, the Juice himself, I love it. But I'm not afraid to say that it absolutely falls flat when it comes to story. Everything else is fantastic. The practical effects and sets are amazing, the makeup designs and costumes are a ton of fun to just look at, the new characters are enjoyable for the most part and funny, but it fails in the regard that it tries to do way too much story-wise. This is like B-Plot the movie. It's weird. So what is this sequel to the 1988 film even about? We follow a middle-aged Lydia Deetz, now the host of a paranormal TV show, as she reconnects with her stepmother Delia and daughter Astrid following the death of Charles Deetz. However, Lydia has been seeing strange visions of Beetlejuice himself and believes that something is going to happen to bring him back for more chaos and destruction. Ooh. While everyone else has their own subplots. It's really hard to talk about a lot of the plot of this movie, simply just because it's just everyone's characters doing their own thing until their stories naturally or unnaturally collide. It's very weird how often characters are just kind of going off on their own and doing their own thing until meeting up later, which, sure, I guess that makes sense, but there's no central character to follow besides maybe Lydia, but then the story just veers off to everyone else, so it's weird. It feels like Lydia is a B character in her own movie, and this is very much a Lydia movie. Beetlejuice is there, but he's never been the main focus, so okay. It's just weird that literally every single character in this gets a subplot. Astrid has a subplot. Delia has a subplot. Hell, Beetlejuice himself has a very weird subplot that is told through some absolutely terrible, if not imaginative, exposition, so at least that's okay, but there's even a whole subplot with Charles running around, which is bizarre to me, but okay. And it's obvious that the whole thing with Charles running around is just because Jeffrey Jones wasn't invited to reprise the role after his pedo and sex abuse scandals, as, you know, he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be in this movie, and he's not. Thank God. So Charles is now played by an uncredited actor, and the character was instead unceremoniously killed off in an admittedly hilarious way that's over the top, and I'm not going to spoil. It's just very funny to see. The biggest and only real issue, though, this movie has is the subplots, like I've mentioned. There's way too many and just not enough time to set up to fully explore or conclude them. The most egregious example, sadly, is Dolores, played by Monica Bellucci. She's a new character and she is amazing. Has such a cool design and a setup to be a major co-antagonist, and everything from her introduction to how she moves around and what she does with different characters, so cool. Oh, it's so neat and imaginative, and I really like how they portray her. But instead, her plot is seen in passing and is essentially thrown away at the very end with incredibly little fanfare. And that sucks. She's a really cool, creepy character with a really neat power and backstory that goes nowhere. Same for Willem Dafoe's character, who is probably one of the funniest characters in the movie, but his plotline isn't needed at all and feels slightly out of place. It's obvious that he only exists to help wrap up the movie in a nice way, which I guess is okay, because at least he's funny. If he wasn't funny, I'd be like, why is this character even here? Why did you pay Willem Dafoe to do this? But thankfully, he's funny, so I feel like he earns his place a little bit. Jenna Ortega as Astrid is also pretty good, even if her subplot feels slightly too much like Wednesday's. So I guess they just gotta throw boys at her, which is bizarre to me, but okay. Her plot at least gives Lydia the boost that she needs to get the movie going proper. Speaking of, Winona Ryder reprising her role is perfect. I love Ryder so much as Lydia. Even if she has too much of a shocked face going on throughout the entire film, it's just fun to see her so annoyed at the world still and clearly in over her head. It's a very believable turn for Lydia as a character too, going into being a TV host for a ghost show. That's fun. Same for Michael Keaton as the main ghost himself too. He's wild in all the right ways and immediately pervy and over the top, just like we all want Beetlejuice to be. He's essentially the ghost Deadpool, and he makes the movie, literally in some cases. Some great work overall, and a great reprisal from Keaton, truly. However, there is one star in this I haven't mentioned yet, and that is Catherine O'Hara reprising her role as Delia. Oh my god, she is clearly having an absolute blast playing the role of Delia, getting so caught up in her art that she just goes balls to the wall crazy with it. It's perfect, and she is so clearly having the time of her life in this role that it's just infectious. Every time she was on screen, I'm smiling and laughing. Her presence alone makes this movie great, I think. Seriously, just a ton of fun watching her do whatever the hell she thinks Delia would do. It's so much fun. Lastly, I want to call out Justin Theroux as the new character and boyfriend to Lydia named Rory. He is such an immediate slime ball and has some great lines and reactions that he's just funny as hell. Definitely has a few moments up there, especially whenever he's playing off of Catherine O'Hara. I think it's great. I love his inclusion, honestly. Of course, the film also has the signature zany style Tim Burton is known for, and as usual, it all looks incredible, especially when the film is exploring the afterlife. It looks wild, the makeup and character designs for the deceased people are all fantastic and varied. Nobody ever dies the same way in this world, and it is just so fun and unique to see how that's reflected in their ghostly forms. There's nobody here that just died of normal circumstances that I can tell. Everyone has at least something going on that caused them to die prematurely that is reflected in their character design, and it's so good and so much fun and unique just to see how it's reflected. There's a mummy, a travel agent with a spear through their neck, and it's just so much more. It's fantastic, just a ton of fun alone going through that. However, I do think that there were maybe a few too many callbacks that felt unneeded, but that feels like nitpick. Like the Saturn's moon is specifically called out and the character's going, a sandworm. Like, yeah, we all know what sandworms are. They're kind of famous and iconic. You don't have to say the name, we know what they are. There's a fun song and dance number too that once again has tremendous face acting by everyone involved. However, it does feel a little bit too much like it's trying to recreate the banana boat, but in its own Beetlejuicy way. So I kind of like that. I like its inclusion. I feel like you couldn't have had a Beetlejuice 2 without a song and dance number at some point. So I like this one. Maybe it went on slightly too long though. But this movie is just a great time overall, which is why it's disappointing to me that the film is held back by these bizarre subplots that go nowhere or end obscenely abruptly. Dolores deserves such a better payoff than what she got, but it's still a really fun, engaging film overall that I can't be mad at, despite how much I'm disappointed with. Oh, and the music. Oh, Danny Elfman returns, and especially in the opening number, the Beetlejuice themes just sound so good. I'm bouncing in my chair along with it, and nothing has even started yet. We're just doing the flyover. I love it so much though, it sounds fantastic. I do wish we could have at least gotten a cameo from Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin's characters, but the actors have aged significantly and ghosts don't age, so it makes sense that they'd be written out of the movie and the characters would kind of sidestep not seeing Barbara and Adam. Regardless, I think this is a film that is admittedly a ton of fun, especially if you're a fan of the first, but even if you're not, I think you'd have a good time regardless that will leave you smiling. smiling. There's definitely going to be something in here that will cause you to smile or laugh or just really get into it. Otherwise, if I were to make this film better, because I very much feel like it could have been better, I feel like I'd need to cut a few subplots out and rewrite some sections, maybe cut a couple of characters that don't do too much and add in some more scenes with maybe Catherine O'Hara, just because I love everything she's doing. But that's about it. Style-wise, this film is tremendous and is a tour de force just for visuals alone, so I do think it's worth seeing just for that as well. I say give it a watch. Ultimately, Beetlejuice gets a 7 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. I do find it a little weird after watching this film that there's no end credit scene or mid credit scene, because I feel like they absolutely could tease a bit more since they're already looking at sequels. I wouldn't mind a Beetlejuice 3. I don't think it needs one, but I wouldn't be opposed to one. It is also very weird that we didn't have an Alex Brightman character, considering he's made the character his own from Broadway, but that's a completely different kind of Beetlejuice, so I guess it makes sense. It's a lot. This movie is just saying, like, what would be fun and what's an excuse to make this more fun. I just really like that the characters are having a blast. It does feel a little weird whenever we're not focused on the afterlife world. There's a good chunk of the movie that is focused in that world, so whenever you're in the living world, it just feels a little weird, too bright, not as heavily stylized, and doesn't look as interesting. But then again, you have to have something in the living world. That's where all the basic characters are. I don't know, what did you guys think of this movie? Do you think Dolores deserved better? I wish she was more in the movie because she's so cool, and instead she gets like 3 or 4 scenes. A truly amazing intro for her. I absolutely love that intro, but everything else just, why? She needed so much more. She was so cool. Anyway, let me know in the comments below, what did you guys think? Do you think maybe there'll be a Beetlejuice 3 and Dolores will show up in that one? I hope so. After that, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video, and yeah, that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo. The fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost song on your own. And I'm just a ghost in your stereo.